Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, 4 nerds, by nerds, hanging out with a couple nerds.
I'm Ted.
And I'm Ryan.
And welcome to another edition of What Does Your Race Say About You, the Tiefling?
If you want to learn how to game with Nerdarchy or get weekly gaming tips, jump down to the description below and sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter.
So did I say that right? Tiefling? We get a lot of nerd rancor over the. Don't say it wrong. Don't do it. They will.
Tiefling, Tiefling.
Oh, Tiefling.
I don't care how you want to say it.
As long as they got the infernal blood within their lines.
Yeah. Or abyssal, the abyss, the infernal, like devils, demons, whatever. It's all, the party is all good.
So here's the thing. Like they I think from 4th edition on they kind of like changed what.
Which I hate the reflavoring of the tiefling from 4th edition.
I don't like the whole like race or community or city or whatever it was that made a deal with the demons and they all became tieflings.
Well, you know what? Like in a certain world's fiction, that's fine for someone's world. That's cool. But for everyone else, like story it however you want, and like that could be. I could see that in a very like Stygian sort of Conan sort of thing. Like this realm of sorcerers made this pact with this devil, and they all turned into these red-skinned devils with horns and nasty pointy teeth. Like sure, in a Stygian sort of Conan world, that totally fits.
Now, but for our campaign, I think we prefer more of the
plainer blood.
Right. Yeah. So typically, if a humanoid mates with some kind of demon or devil, it produces a half fiend.
Yeah.
Anything that produces from there on in the line has the chance to become a tiefling, right?
Yes,
that's generally what we've done.
It could skip a generation, but
it could skip generations.
And also magical things of like maybe you just formed a pact with like say a warlock pact with a devil, and like there's a curse that somewhere in your lineage this is going to happen. Like so it could just be magic. Like it doesn't even have to be like a full-on mating. Like that could be a way to
that's true too. Like I also envision someone making a deal or a pact with another planar creature and be like.
The Rumpelstiltskin thing, your firstborn
your
child.
firstborn, and then like that's sort of like all right, I give up my firstborn, no big deal, whatever. And then like they have a tiefling instead of having the normal baby and going, oh no, you have to raise it too. What? That wasn't part of the deal.
This is not part of the bargain. I was trying to get rid of this. Yeah.
But no matter how you came about being a tiefling, this is going to create some problems and some interesting situations in your life.
You are essentially gifted with ability and cursed with abilities from below, from hell, however you want to look at it, and generally things with horns and whatever have you.
Tails, lizard parts. Like the cool thing is the variety by which you can describe your character. Your character can look like just about anything. Like any of the demons or devils, look at them. Like decide if you want your bloodline to be abyssal or infernal, and like look at any of those demons. You can have your character have any of those like traits, and you can decide how subtle they are or not. Right?
And part of your origin story, like your character themselves may not actually know where their bloodline stems, but you as the player or the DM might want to figure that out because it can be incorporated into the story later on in some
you
really
can
cool ways.
You could basically get to play Hellboy if you're into that.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing I was going to say as a tiefling, you're gonna have to decide if you're gonna really like your character really owns it or is kind of like tries to hide it, tries to shun their heritage and kind of really do the opposite and really say no, I'm okay. This isn't me at all.
Are they the paladin of the holiest deity they can find and try to like suppress their like darker urges and impulses, or do they go as brutal as possible and become like a barbarian? And just like let it into the bloodlust.
But I also feel like you don't necessarily have to be, no matter which spectrum you want to go with.
I mean, those are opposite poles.
Yeah, you don't actually have to be evil though. But when I say own it, like you could just be like, well, this is who I am.
You can just
the ultimate anti-hero.
Yeah, well, you can accept it and just be like, look, deal with who I am, regardless of your alignment and your player choices.
Your soul.
Or it can be like all right, you come after me, and I'm coming right after you
with the powers of hell. Well, and also too, like the idea of like major armies of good and evil, like that's a very like Dungeons and Dragons-esque tropes or like Judeo-Christian sort of thing. Like I think in a very like old world sort of thing, when you talk about, like, you look at old mythologies, there's only just power, right? So, I mean, you could get those from more nefarious sources, for sure, like consorting with demons and devils, but it's just about having power, and it depends on how you use and incorporate that power. So, if you have a very pragmatic character, like, well, this is a resource that's at my disposal, why wouldn't I use it?
Right.
Also, like, it just occurred to me too, like, an interesting way to go with playing a tiefling is, what if you kind of decided not to go infernal or abyssal, and went with like otherworldly, like going along the lines of the otherworldly patron packs from the warlock.
More Cthulhian.
Yeah, more Cthulhian. Like, you could flavor it and change it up a little bit. It wouldn't be a huge difference.
Mechanically, it wouldn't be different, but like your parentage, like, you have like vestigial like tentacles that people can't see, or like,
or that you can see.
Yeah.
You know, you basically you look a little bit like a mind flayer, or you have the tentacle beard,
Well,
or
what
like
if,
maybe your eyes are like have no irises, like they're just straight up white or black or something like that, or red.
You could totally, instead of the tiefling horns, what if you had like the Kit Fisto like tendril hair from Star Wars?
Oh yeah, you could absolutely do something.
Yeah, any of that stuff kind of works. Or you could look, flavor it like you look a little bit like an Abeloth or Aboleth.
So with the eyes, like, because it doesn't really change how
No,
you see
no,
things
no.
or anything,
Right.
but
Yeah.
just you look like
And maybe
a
your
freak.
skin has like a cast of like it's slightly wet, and you like to take baths whenever you can to keep your skin moist, and like all these sort of like Lovecraftian sort of.
I really feel like the tiefling, more than any other race in D&D, is really effective visually because of how others are going to perceive you, because of the way you look,
Right.
And that kind of that kind of prejudice, or it could even be the other way. It could be like a worship almost, depending on
If like the culture's kind of on the dark side.
yeah.
Yeah.
But this is going to affect the way you portray that character and their perspective of the world around them. They could be walk around shell shocked all the time, or they could be uber aggressive because they're just used to people being aggressive to them.
Yeah, they've got to be on their toes, because either someone's going to attack them, or come after them to put them on a pedestal.
Or
they might try to avoid everyone entirely and just be stealthy. Like, if your class is a rogue, maybe it's because you're like used to lurking in the shadows, or or you walk around just very covered up, like maybe you wear a veil or something.
Yeah,
like
it's been half a decade since you've ever gone through the main gates of a city, because you don't even bother anymore, because you've been turned around so many times. It's just easier to go over the wall.
Yeah.
So there's definitely different things like that you could play up. And it gives you all these like nuances to drop during the game session with role playing. What's the word I'm looking for? Like mannerisms and
gestures
and odd ticks and stuff like that. That's going to really like set your character apart from maybe the rest of the party.
And if they go a little more bestial, you can like take on some animal mannerisms like snarls or growls or things like that.
And the Skag does have some options for that. So like if you wanted to go with the variant tiefling, and then you could have that inform how you play the character as well, because obviously like if you have wings, that's kind of a big deal, and they're hard to hide.
Yeah.
And especially bat wings,
Well, or they could be like kind of comically undersized. So like, because I mean, the one from the Skag, they don't allow you to actually fly, right?
No, they
do. Oh, wow, okay. Because I was gonna say, like, even the baseline Player's Handbook one, you could have wings. They just might be tiny, or just they wouldn't be functional.
I feel like those would be easier to hide.
Yeah,
if you wanted to,
for sure. And also too, like when you think about the obvious choice for the tiefling is the infernal patron pact of the warlock. If you're being that class, but so I created a pre-gen, and I made her. The idea was her familial bond for her warlock was to be the pact of the fiends, but she became Fey pact because like this Fey goddess or god got her away from that pact, and her grandsire basically. So like the idea of like playing off of the most obvious approach, but now you're kind of like
twisting it.
Twisting it, and then also too like now you have to become errand person for a Fey power, and the devilish power still might try to come and reclaim you, so you have to fight that off.
Also, like, going off of that as well, like the idea of the alternate warlock character, and tiefling character, where if you're going otherworldly, what if you really were just a human or some other race, but when you took on that pact,
you got changed.
It actually changed you. So now that character, you're using mechanically, you're using everything from the tiefling, but but for all the role-playing aspects, no, you're actually human. It's just when you whatever part of becoming the warlock physically changed you.
That also would work for the sorcerer.
I kind of want to play that character.
Yeah, and also, but you could also do that for the sorcerer as well, because, like, you could reskin all the powers. Like, the most sensible thing would be to take the draconic bloodline or archetype, and then you could reskin it to all, like, no, your powers are actually from a demonic or abyssal sort of form. Yeah. So this way, especially the energy resistances, like, that totally works for a fiendish skin thing. So it's like, when your powers manifest, it's almost like becoming an X-Men mutant. Like, you had teenage years, your powers manifest, and, like, your body physically changed. So you're like, you go from, like, angel to archangel, if you're talking X-Men lore.
Well, yeah, and really I think one of the advantages you get from being the draconic sorcerer is
natural armor. Well, and the resistance, and what other
charisma? Your charisma-based checks with Dragonkind. Well, it would be real easy to just switch that.
It's demons and devils.
Yeah, to the whatever you want it to be, whether it's abyssal or infernal. I think they gain a language draconic. You change it to abyssal or infernal. So yeah, that would be another way to go, which would be kind of interesting and unique. And I feel like in our campaign, that's more of the route we want to go with. Using tieflings.
Yeah, so that's this happened by magic, as opposed to, like, I mean, and breeding is also a potential thing.
So breeding, magic, some kind of, some kind of pact,
which is magic.
True.
Yeah. But basically, right. So your warlock and your sorcerer, like we discussed. Well, what if your character isn't either of those, but you're the you're the ancestor of such, and then that just keeps manifesting throughout their bloodline. The same way a tiefling would anyway. It's just the origin story is slightly different.
And in our world, since we have these pockets of chaos magic and whatever have you that literally have the ability to affect things any which way we want, what if you went afoul of one of these things, and it just so happens that at that moment that chaos magic was touching the planes, and it bestowed that upon you.
It's a possibility. I mean, that's, again, like, F you, it's magic type of situation.
Well, I'm saying another option.
Another story angle. And even if we wanted to have one civilization that has, like, the 4th edition origin story, not for all of them, but we could be like, oh yeah, this storm ravaged through this land, and, like, oh, everybody got mutated into a tiefling. It's a possibility, but just, again, we just don't want to say all. Right. Not all tieflings.
It's not as flavorful. It's not as useful for our world.
We just don't dig it.
Not fans. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that about wraps up the Tiefling. If you guys have any cool Tiefling characters you want to put in this Tiefling, all right, if you want to correct the pronunciation, you can do that in the comments below. Tell us about...
They will put links to videos of how to pronounce it.
Yeah. So, share your coolest Tiefling characters in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out on Patreon, and Patreon is us in a good way.
Or you can check out the articles over on nerdarchy.com.
So until next time,
stay nerdy. If you want to learn how to game with Nerdarchy or get weekly gaming tips, jump down to the description below and sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter.
So did I say that right? Tiefling? We get a lot of nerd rancor over the... Don't say it wrong. Don't do it. They will...
Tiefling, Tiefling.
Oh! Tiefling.
I don't care how you want to say it.
As long as they got the infernal blood within their lines.
Yeah. Or abyssal. The abyss, the infernal, like devils, demons, whatever. It's all... The party's all good.
So here's the city or whatever it was that made a deal with the demons, and they all became... tieflings.
Well, you know what? Like, in a certain world's fiction, that's fine for someone's world. That's cool. But for everyone else, like, story it however you want.
Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy. 4 nerds, by nerds, hang out with a couple nerds.
I'm Ted.
And I'm Ryan.
And welcome to another edition of What Does Your Race Say About You, the Tiefling? Thing. Like they I think from 4th edition on they kind of like changed what
Which I hate the reflavoring of the Tiefling from 4th edition.
I don't like the whole like race or community or